I think ceramics is amazing material because you can do all the different things within it, and especially for me, the thing that you can add and you take away and you can add again, as long as the material is not dry, it's almost endless how much you can work with it, and there's so many expressions you can make out of this material. My name is Merete Rasmussen and I work with sculptural ceramics. I think I always had clay or ceramics in my life in some way or another. As I started as a child, where we lived, we had this amazing garden on heavy clay soil where you can actually dig up pure blue earthenware, which I did, and muddy everywhere, but I really enjoyed that building from there, and it kind of, I always had it somewhere. I mean, for a while I went on to study nursing, and after working a few years in hospital I realized that wasn't for me, so I went back and started a full-time course in ceramics. That was amazing to be able to go in and do what I really enjoyed full-time and in fantastic facilities, and just learn about all these different techniques and the material. That was a very good time for me. I work with abstract form. I'm interested in continuous surface and clear, clean lines, and I also work with negative and positive space. I make in a stoneware clay. I work by sketching in clay and then building the form throughout, and then working on the surface once it's finished. It's a quite slow process the way I'm working. It's a lot of, with clay as well, it's quite a lot of waiting time, especially the way I'm working. So I need the clay to come to a certain hardness before I can work on the surface, for instance, and I also need it to be able to support itself to some degree. I just really enjoy working with the material as well. It's really smooth, and it's quiet, and it's quite meditative in a way. I mean, I spend hours on the scraping and working on the surface and the edges and so on. Clay has a life on its own. Anyone who's working with ceramics will know that sometimes it just decides to distort in the drying or crack. So you have to put it in the kiln, and then it's out of your control in a way. I mean, of course you can prepare, and all the experience you have, you will help through the firing, but it's still up to the kiln in some way. So the firing takes about 10 hours, and then it takes another maybe 24 hours to cool down. So sometimes you just really, really excited about and nervous about opening this kiln. You've just been waiting for it, especially if I worked on a piece for months, maybe a really big piece, and it's in there in the kiln, and I just can't wait to open it. This is a typical piece that represents my current work, with a free-flowing continuous form that twists and turns around itself within the form and is connected, and also it sits on a few points. From every angle you look at it, it will be something different. I really like strong colors, and I think they bring some more dynamic to a shape and some strength. I think I also work with matte surfaces. Also, I think that somehow the shades and the shadows work with the surface and show the form more on a matte surface than a shiny, where the reflections can not show the form so well. There's a Japanese ceramic artist, Akiyama, who makes these amazing large unglazed sculptural pieces, which are look like they're twisted out of earth almost, and there's so much force and power in them. They're amazing. I love looking at them, and also I'm looking at them and thinking there must be so much planning going into this work, and that's something I enjoy with my own work as well. And when I've not been able to work with clay for a while, I come back to, I just can really feel how much it gives me, and how much joy and satisfaction to work with the material. And it's always best in its wet stage, in the building part. It's an intuitive way I'm working in it, and it's very much about the feeling of the material and what I can do with it. it just has this way of focusing the mind and concentrating on that work and that form, and it's amazing.